So today we celebrate the year of St. Joseph in our own special way. And the purpose of this sharing is to help us all appreciate and understand the role that our spouses play both in our marriage as husband, as a father to our children, and for some of us as a grandparent. So before we begin, perhaps we can all introduce ourselves.
Maybe I can start. I'm Geraldine, married to my husband, John. We are married 31 years. We courted 8 years before that. So actually, I knew him for 39 years. I have 3 beautiful daughters with me, 2 son-in-laws, and 3 grandkids.
Thank you.
So, my name is Asha. My husband is Vijay, and we have 3 lovely children from 22, 18, and 16. And we've been married for 25 years. This is our 25th year. And we have known each other since we were kids, in a way. So I think, all in all, I think we have known each other for more than 40 years. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, and let's.
Okay, my name is Sylvia. I'm married to Godfrey, and we've been married for 13 years. We have 2 children. They are 13 years old and 12 years old and 9 years old.
Okay, yeah, my name is Serene. I'm married to Alphonsus. We've been married for 32 years and we have 6 children. I'm not going to go through all the ages of all 6, but the eldest is 31 this year and the youngest is 22 this year. And I'm also we are both grandparents. We've got 2 grandchildren. But they are both in Australia, and both of them, one is 6, the other one is 4 years old. So to start the presentation today, let's look at, we are looking at the year of St. Joseph. And as we know that St. Joseph was a husband of Our Lady, Mother Mary. So let's start with looking at our own spouses, our own marriage. So let's see, what do you all appreciate about your husband in all these years of your marriage?
Maybe I start first. What I deeply appreciate, I was telling him this morning before Serene sent me the question, I really appreciate that he's very, very humble person. From the word go, he was very humble. He has very deep sense of humor. And I can tell him my darkest secret, my most difficult struggle, and he can listen, he can accept me for who I am and still love me unconditionally. Yeah.
Okay, what about the rest of you? Thank you, Geraldine.
So for me, I think Vijay is my best friend. Before marriage, I used to think that your other friends are your best friends. But it's after marriage, I think I've realized that he is my only and truest best friend. I can share whatever I want. I know it stays with him. He's always there, rain or shine. Through the darkest moments and through the happiest moments, he's my best friend. Yeah, so that's my so he's very reliable, and very loving. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking at what is the best virtue of Saint Joseph. I could say that he is very responsible and also supportive, and responsible in terms of even though it's about being responsible, but he also trying to put my needs, and though it's try to balance between my needs and also the family needs. And so, and I see him how he is being supportive and responsible to the family.
So maybe just to pick up from what Sylvia you shared, is there an example where you see that very strongly in the family, in one area, in terms of his responsibility?
It's not only responsible to the four of us, but it's also responsible for the two parents. I mean, it's not easy to live together with more family members, but he's very supportive, and he's able to see from different angles and try to cool me down and to see and give me perspective from different views. So in order for me to be more to be calmer and more respectful and accepting.
Okay, so your in-laws stay with you as well, or both times? Oh, okay, and your parents as well, or your parents are
No. Only
okay.
my
Okay, all right. Okay. What about Asha and Geraldine? I mean, now that we are looking at emulating the virtue of St. Joseph, how do you see that also playing out in your spouses?
For me, Vijay is very prayerful, and he doesn't just simply jump into conclusions or decisions, unlike me. So he's a very steadying factor there. So at times, I think I find it very difficult to understand his silence when he goes into those silent modes, and I'm like the one who provokes and wants the answers. So I don't know. Maybe whether I should try to emulate Mother Mary and also learn to be quiet. Yeah, but I do believe that, for Vijay, he's very, he thinks much more ahead. He sees a bigger picture of things.
Okay, all right, okay. Geraldine, yeah.
John is an optimist, even when there is when we are going through very dark moments. There was a time when my family was going through a very, very dark passage in our lives, all of us. And John was an optimist. He's able to minimize damage and pull us through a very difficult period. And he always point us back to God. He will always inject positive energy into whatever situation we are in. So he's really our mentor. I can really see that clearly a virtue in St. Joseph. When he brought the whole family from Bethlehem and rushed over as a refugee in Egypt overnight, I think John has that virtue.
Okay. I think for me, if I look at Al, he's like the carpenter in the house. And not so much because he fixes not so much that he fixes the what do you call it, things in the house. He doesn't just fix the lights, the shower head. He does all those things, but he's a very creative carpenter as well. He's very good with his hands, and the thing is that when he does something with his hands, whether it's a house decoration, whether it's a flower, it brings a lot of joy to the house. It is not he's just fixing things. It's the joy that he comes with it. And he always adds a creative feel to it. But I think having said that, right, he also helps to fix, in a way, problems, you know. Especially for me, I can be quite reactive when something happens, you know, with the kids or with myself, you know, in my workplace. And he just comes in with his logical, practical way, and he kind of analyzes and put things in a particular perspective. And that helps me to kind of he helps to downsize the issue, you know, and it helps me a lot because it helps me to stabilize in terms of, now, you know, why do we see this as a big thing? It is manageable, we can solve it, you know. So in that sense, imagery wise, he's like that carpenter, you know. Yeah. So I think even as a father, he actually has helped, I think, with, in his own quiet way. He speaks to the kids, you know, and he gives them values that they need to pick up in their life. You know, my kids are not young anymore, but all the more, right, as they go through different relationships and they go through their work life, he's usually the one who is, he comes from the point of view straight away, okay, what is the value here that we want to bring across? You know, what is the importance of what you are doing? And he's very sound in his faith. You know, he always makes sure that we don't compromise on our Christian values. And that's how decisions are made, you know, in the house, and especially as a father with his children. And yet he balances it in a sense that he makes sure he sees their point of view first before he actually has, you know, his own perspective of the situation. And that's how it has helped very much in actually seeing the best of their father, you know, both in the way he lightens up the home, as well as in the way he nurtures them in that sense, you know. Yeah. So what about yourselves? How is BJ, John, and Godfrey been, you know, how do you see them as a father as well in their homes?
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, if I just can I think Vijay is very committed to doing what is correct and right, and he insists from our children the same honesty. And occasionally he will have the one-on-one talk with each of our children. You know, when he sees that something is not going okay, no, he tries to make the connection and help them to explain. I think he's a much better listener than I am. I mean, for me, I jump. I really have to take the plaster and put it on my mouth because I maybe it's a woman thing or what, I don't know, or it's more of me that I don't show that much of restraint. But for me, I believe that Vijay brings in that steadying aspect. So I feel that is one aspect of of the righteousness of Saint Joseph, Saint Joseph's virtue of righteousness. So it's not just about following the rules and going by the book, but to do what is good and right, and helping our children also to see that, even for me, sometimes when we talk anything about anyone, he will say, no, it's like this. No, he shows us that there must be another side to it. So it helps us to look at things from a different perspective. Though it may not be easy, but I think in the end, we all realize the goodness of that. So yeah, so that's maybe as long as we converse, we can talk. Anything else will strike me, then I will just share.
Mm. Mm.
I think the virtue that John has emulating St. Joseph is he's able to adapt. He's able to adapt to different situation and inject peace into that situation. So, and he gives people a lot of confidence. So recently there was a case when I threatened to tear my family apart. It's a very simple case, but we're all like our two sides, left side, right side. But he's able to see very clearly two sides of the same coin and bring peace across. So he is very deep listener. He's a very deep listener and is able to listen to each other's feelings. He can say, put yourself in the shoes of the other. What if that happened? So his balancing act is amazing. I think I really do see that in St. Joseph. Although St. Joseph is a person of very few words, the fact that he can adapt to very difficult situation, like seeing his wife give birth in a manger, bringing them to Egypt, a very foreign land. Overnight, the angel said, get up, bring your family, and then go. I mean, my hair really stand, and I do deeply admire him for that. And I do see that in John, in being able to, to overcome the tensions in the house and able to slowly solve them calmly. And he's very adaptable, very adept with crises.
You can share perhaps how you see Godfrey in terms of his role as a father to the kids. Yeah, whether you want to, yeah.
The role that I found is not easy when they spend a longer working hour, and when they come back, they're physically tired and they still have to attend to the children, which is sometimes is more to the emotional needs. And on the top of that, maybe when I also need someone to listen to my feelings and what I've been through the whole day. He's been trying and he's getting better to be a good listener, and also he can balance my negative emotion, and he can give me some kind like a positive aura that to balance me, rather than is putting me into even down feeling, or like setting it into like a big fire. So this is the role that he's been taking on, and he's trying to also impart the values to the children. Though it's not easy because the time that he spent also is challenging for them, for him. But he tried to make his best, and he always has his own way to come out with something that he can spend time with them. One, I mean, it's sometimes could be just him and my daughter, our daughter, or with our son, not necessarily together.
Okay. And yeah, so I think it's lovely to hear that our we have spouses who are interested in listening to a very good listeners. I think sometimes it's not easy, right? Okay, and being deep listeners is like. To me, it's like maybe Saint Joseph in a way. I mean, while he was in a dilemma, he heard the voice of God, and he must have reflected very deeply on that for him to then make certain decisions. So Asha, you talked about BJ's prayerfulness, And Sylvia and Geraldine, you talk about the ability to bring peace, you know. Yeah, I'm sure St. Joseph, in his own quiet way, had that deep faith in God that allowed him to put that total trust in God as well. And so let's move on to the next question. So what do you see is the best gift that your spouse or your husbands bring to your children or grandchildren? Geraldine, you also have grandkids, right? Yeah.
I see myself the importance of affirming him, you know, really affirm him. I'll make a point to say, my dear, sweetheart. Sometimes I'm very tensed up, but I still call it my dear sweetheart, just to affirm him that he's very, very important. And I make a point to show him my tenderness part in front of the kids, so that, especially also in front of my grandchildren, that I'm always with him, because little children, they are very easy to cause a divide, you know, because they want their way. The grandpa doesn't allow, the grandma allow. So I will make a point to be always 100% on his side. So I like my husband always teach me, and I want to give it back to him, to affirm always, and also to be firm and steadfast in in the principles and what we really believe in, to be firm and to affirm. And so I believe deeply that I have to give him a lot of support from different angles. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sylvia, how do you see yourself supporting him and the gifts that he brings to the family?
I think what is the best gift he brings to our children? Well, I think from very young, he places some great importance on, I mean, if we just take one example, would be the kind, to do any kind of work or whatever task they do it to the best, not just slipshod. They put in their best effort, and don't cut corners. Give your best. So he insists on quality, and he will always say that there should be no regrets. So he keeps reminding our children that when whatever you do, you give it your best and think that is that your best. So for me, I think I can support him on that by saying that we give our best in whatever we do, whatever little things we do around the house. Especially now with teenagers, they're always calculative. Oh, I did this, so it's not my turn anymore. It's the other person's turn. So it's very difficult to tell them that in a family we don't say, "Oh, it's my turn, your turn." No, whoever's there and you see it. Okay, you found a dish in the sink, you wash it, even though it's not yours. So yeah, so that is something which he really holds to, the work attitude. I think that's a worker attitude, St. Joseph's worker attitude, where he doesn't give in to cutting corners. I'm sure he must have been a perfect carpenter. He must have been the best in that area, right? Because we hear from the age of 12 all the way up to 30 that Jesus was under him. So he must have been like doing a lot of stuff. So I suppose that is something, that's his skill. And so Vijay also, I think God gives us children to bring them up. Then after that, we have to let go. But of course, we need to give them all those values. So my best way is, yeah, sometimes when he disciplines, I should learn to be quiet, just be there to support and tell the children, listen, pay attention, and make sure that they are taking on, or they are taking it in the positive sense. So sometimes I will tell them, no, why is dad about talking like this? It's because of this, so that they know that it's not that he's just being very tough on them. Yeah, so so that will be something which sometimes, yeah, as mothers, I think we tend to pepper them, and we don't see everything eye to eye, our husbands, but I think we need to be there to support them on their decisions. And if it really bothers us, then we should have that conversation and try to understand where they are coming from. And perhaps then we will be in a better position. Because for me, I think Vijay is definitely, Vijay is a more logical person in our relationship. I'm the more emotional, the feeling kind of person. So we are like two different. One is on the head level, and I'm like at the heart level. I get, I'm the one who sees where no offense is meant. I will see an offense or something like that in those lines. So, well, I think that's the way God has created us, and that's why we made for each other. And yes, in this year of Saint Joseph, just pray that we will be able to emulate his virtues and values, and hopefully our son, who is also a Joseph, he will be able to take on those, bring in those virtues, grow up with those virtues, and hopefully Vijay is that good dad for him. So he can always think back and say, yes, my dad was like this, and I also want to be like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Asha gave me some inspiration what to say. Okay. The best gift that he bring himself is, I found it, is generosity. He's willing to help others without calculate about the cost. This is also happens from the children, like for example, I make a point that no, they have to do their part, and you can give so-called their reward. But he always telling me that you have to, you can do the other way around, which is you explain it to them, though you don't do your, you don't get, you're not producing the result that it's supposed to be, but he's willing to give the reward as a kind of a gesture to the children to remind them that actually we appreciate what you've tried to put in your effort, and then it hopefully it will help you to do much better next time. So he kind of like not rigid about or uncalculative about giving the rewards to the children, but he used it at the other way around, is to tell them that we care about you, and then even though you don't ask for it, and then even though you don't achieve it, but we love you, and then we know that you like it, then we give it to them as a present or a gift. And the same thing, the other family members that come to our place, he will say that just provide the best for them that we can, even though maybe we don't have much, but we try to provide whatever that we can, and we try to help whenever they need help, even though sometimes they did something that maybe hurts us in the past. But don't think about it and just help if you want to help.
Yeah. Okay, and so as we come to the end of our interviews, our sharing, maybe I'd just like to find out from each one of you, what is your one prayer that you have for your husband, especially in times that, as Sylvia said, times are challenging sometimes in today's modern world. So maybe each one of you can share that.
I think my prayer for my husband is very simple, that he sleeps well, eats well, and stay healthy during this COVID period. Yeah.
My prayer for Vijay would be that he is healthy, and also he will continue to remain faithful and strong in his faith, because I think that's, for me, it's very important that his total reliance on God is what strengthens all of us, because we really take great courage from his faith. At least for me, I learn a lot of things. And yeah, as Geraldine said, I also want him to be healthy and strong. Times are not easy. There's a lot of challenges, especially in his work field. It's very tough. Each day they have different kinds of issues and problems. So I pray that he finds courage and strength, and I'm able to support him and be a good helpmate to him. Yeah.
I pray for myself that I'll be able to become a pillar of support for him. Especially in times when I'm very moody. But at the same time, I pray that God always protect and guide him in wherever and whatever he does. That God will guide him and enlighten his path and make in every decision that he has to make, and protection in terms of not only health, physical health, but I believe that spiritual health as well.
Okay. So thank you very much for all your beautiful sharing of yourselves and your spouses. And I believe truly that as we were sharing, St. Joseph was certainly in our midst. And so let's take a moment to put the presence of St. Joseph in our midst. And we'll end our session today, our sharing, with the prayer to St. Joseph by Pope Francis. Right? So let me just share screen so we can pray this prayer together. All right. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Hail, guardian of the Redeemer, spouse of the Blessed Virgin Mary. To you God entrusted his only Son. In you Mary placed her trust. With you Christ became man. Blessed Joseph, to us too, show yourself a Father and guide us in the path of life. Obtain for us grace, mercy, and courage, and defend us from every evil. Amen. Okay, thank you everyone, and as we'll meet each other again. Meanwhile, have a great time celebrating the Feast of St. Joseph.